Number 10. Spy tools. Back in August 2016, a group named the Shadow Brokers were the talk of the town. How could you not be with a name like that? That name makes them sound like a comic book villain. The Shadow Brokers? What? But check this out. The Shadow Brokers would basically steal cyber weapons from an NSA hacking unit and then proceed to sell them online to the highest bidder. The Shadow Brokers. I can't lie, it's a pretty sick name. The intentions, however, not so rad, not so radical. These tools have been used by many countries and many schemes. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, you name it. These cyber attacks are also no joke. Once the entire city of Baltimore was under quite the cyber attack. I swear to God, the entire city. The 2019 ransomware cyber attack, all connected to said Shadow Brokers. Yeah, whoever this mysterious group is still remains a mystery. Is it you? If so, click thumbs up on this video.
In our 9th spot, we have Trump's dirty laundry, and I don't mean like literally his stinky socks and undies. In May of 2020, Anonymous came after Trump during his presidency. This happened when Trump threatened to deploy his military force against the protesters. But Anonymous was like, nah, honey, you aren't doing that, and said they had dirt on him. They said that they would publish his dirty laundry. A couple of days later, they published 169 emails that mentioned Trump one way or another. Now, most of the emails weren't even bad, but it was just a scare tactic to show Trump, like, hey, we're not bluffing, okay? We got dirt on you. More on this in my next point. Coming in at number 8, we have Trump's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. So like I said, Anonymous leaked some emails about Trump. Well, they also threatened to release information connecting Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Trump and Epstein have been photographed together on a number of occasions. Apparently, they also have hung out with each other too. Some believe that Trump was a part of Epstein's ring and also exploited young females. And Anonymous apparently has proof, including access to Epstein's address book and old court documents. Technically, I'm cheating with this point since they didn't leak this information, but they did expose that they have this information. In our 7th spot, we have the Brazilian government. In June of 2020, Anonymous released personal information on the Brazilian president and his family and cabinet. This caused a lot of chaos. The federal police and the Brazilian Congress began to investigate. In the end, it was revealed that the federal government used $2 million of the public's money to fund advertising on several websites. Most of the websites supported the president, which makes sense as to why they wanted to put money into them. Not only that, but Anonymous leaked a number of government officials' addresses, income, and other personal information. The personal addresses were a very serious issue because it puts them at risk for attacks. Moving on, at number 6, we have CSIS documents. So what I didn't know is that apparently Anonymous has some beef with the Canadian government. One of their first attacks leaked secrets about the foreign activities of the Canadian Secret Intelligence Service, aka the CSIS. It released information about the size of their network, what information they have access to, along with other sensitive government documents. The Canadian government has only admitted to having foreign stations in Washington, London, and Paris. But according to the documents leaked, they have over 25 foreign stations. And I quote, many of which are located in developing countries and/or unstable environments. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the secret federal document. In another attack against Canada, Anonymous leaked top secret documents outlining the redevelopment of Canada's key diplomatic centers in Britain, including selling, relocating, and refurbishing Canada's diplomatic buildings in London. Now, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's the fact that they got a hold of these top secret documents that's concerning. The documents were marked as confidence of the Queen's Privy Council, which basically means that it's top secret and private documents. Therefore, the government of Canada is looking into its own people to see if someone among them is leaking these documents to Anonymous, or maybe they're a part of Anonymous. In our 4th spot, we have the #OpsWakeUp21. In January of 2021, Anonymous attacked the government of Malaysia. They defaced 17 government and university websites. This was part of their campaign called #OpsWakeUp21. Basically, the purpose of this campaign was to highlight the poor security of the government's websites and to warn people about it. In a post, they said, and I quote, Greetings, we are Anonymous Malaysia. This is message to Government Malaysia. Your security system is low. All data may be leaked. This can cause unwanted hackers selling all your information. Basically, they accuse the government for keeping silent and covering up a number of data breaches that occurred over the years. The government knew that personal information of their citizens was being obtained and sold, and they just kinda covered it up until Anonymous exposed them. Coming in at number 3, we have Anonymous Malaysia Part 2. During the Anonymous Malaysia attack, they also revealed that Facebook was selling private information to government agencies. In a post, Anonymous said, and I quote, "If you're a hacktivist willing to, or a man who just wants to protect his freedom of information and join the cause, and kill Facebook for your own privacy. Facebook has sold information to government agencies and gave secret access to information security firms so they can spy on people from around the world. You can't hide from reality where you are. You're neither safe from any government. Someday you'll look back on this and realize what we've done here is right. You'll thank the internet government. We will not harm you, but we will save you." Okay guys, it is time to deactivate Facebook. Nice. Coming in at number 2, we have Epic. In September of 2021, Anonymous leaked data from Epic, which is basically a domain registrar and web hosting company that has provided service to websites that publish neo-Nazi and extremist content. It's a pretty controversial platform, and Anonymous leaked details of every domain that was ever hosted or registered through them. It also leaked a number of personal information of their customers, like their purchase records, emails, invoices, and credit card information. Over 15 million email addresses were exposed. In fact, they released 3 rounds of data on their website. The first was in February of 2021, the second in September, and the third in October. In October, they actually leaked information on documents belonging to the Texas Republican Party. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the NSA. So thanks to Edward Snowden, we all know that the NSA was spying on Americans through their phone records. Well, Anonymous just exposed the existence of a secret NSA and FBI program called PRISM. This program allows the NSA and FBI to take photos, videos, emails, and chats from the servers of 9 different internet companies, including Microsoft, Facebook, Google, and Apple. Anonymous leaked 13 huge documents about this program, and it revealed that the NSA is not only spying on Americans, but also citizens of over 35 different countries as well. Anonymous said, and I quote, "We bring this to you so that you know just how little rights you have. Your privacy and freedoms are slowly being taken away from you in closed doors meetings, in laws buried in bills, and by people who are supposed to be protecting."
Coming in at number 10, we have the bomb shelter. So you know how the threat of a nuclear attack has always been looming over our heads for a long time? Well, it has been even more so in America. For one, they have way more nukes, and they have enemies that have way more nukes. So knowing what to do in a nuclear attack is very useful information. Well, Redditor Deadpool8988 wrote on Reddit about how the American government used to tell people that they should dig an 8-foot by 4-foot by 10-foot hole in their backyard just in case a bomb comes through. That way you can jump into the hole and hide, and you'll be protected from the nuclear attack. Well, it turns out that the reason that the government was so keen on people digging these grave-like holes was because they were actually graves. If everyone jumps into a hole right before the bomb hit, then there would be less bodies to clean up in the aftermath. The government knew that the hole in the ground wouldn't protect the people, but it would get them situated for their inevitable demise much faster.
Number 9. Hide your bread. Putting your money in your mattress sounds a lot easier than this system, that's for sure. Way less complicated too. Back in 2016, journalists all over the world were looking into what's called the Panama Papers, a plethora of leaked documents. Now these all came from a law firm, Mossack Fonseca. The operation here was that the firm would help the super rich hide their money in these offshore tax havens. And before you ask, yes, they got caught, and this whole thing was of course shut down. In total, there were 140 politicians from 50 countries who were all busted, including the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Iceland's former Prime Minister Sigmundur David Gunnlaugsson. Yeah, you're all guilty, and we found out. Just be rich. Just be rich and do the things you have to do when you're rich. Don't hide your money. Number 8, SIM cards. In February 2015, it was reported that Snowden, our good boy Edward Snowden, he provided documents that showed that the NSA and the GCHQ had all hacked into a Dutch company that is responsible for manufacturing and supplying 2 billion SIM cards per year to big names. Names like AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, you're probably paying for some of these, you name it, right? While this hack would suggest that the agencies would then now have access to billions of unique encryption keys, which could potentially allow them to bypass wireless providers and monitor both the voice and data transmissions of every user, i.e. us, the company had actually been the target of at least 2 sophisticated intrusions, and they believed that the NSA and juicy headquarters, GCHQ, were all responsible, but the company then denied that the hack was successful in gaining access to all these encryption keys. Yeah, no, just the dirty text, nothing else. We're good though. Let's just hope that's the case. I mean, honestly, I'm deleting my history anyways, just to be safe. Number 7, military dolphins. Yeah, I said military dolphins. We're gonna get weird now, I guess. Iran has plenty of nuclear capabilities, but they also have trained dolphins now too, so good game. Back in 2000, Iran bought this fleet of trained dolphins from Russia, just, you know, Russians doing Russian things, but they were trained supposedly by the Soviet Union to attack ships, and yes, even people. We have Navy SEALs and military dolphins. This is it, behind the scenes for Aquaman 2, I guess. What's going on here? Well, recently, like 2018 recent, satellite photos revealed a Russian naval base in Syria with pens that are commonly used for holding, you guessed it, dolphins. Yep, the dolphins are back. Ooh. Russia and the US both have fleets of trained dolphins to detect mines, but now Iran's in the mix as well. Is the next world war gonna be dolphins? That would be loud. Number 6, secret iPods. Nowadays it feels like there's a new iPhone or a new iGadget every other day. Technology is evolving a little too fast, I'd say. VR? Not for me, I'm not ready. My body was not ready for that. Music is also personal. Spotify, way too personal. But have you heard of Apple's top secret iPod? Would you get one of these? I'd pre-order it, let's do it. Back in 2005, former Apple software engineer David Shayer revealed that the tech giant once partnered up with the US Department of Energy. This special iPod was designed to test radiation on the go without drawing any attention from the public. Yeah, imagine this thing in an Apple commercial. Just dancing silhouettes, having a good time, and then just one guy suspiciously in the background, like, listening to music. This was of course top secret information back in the day, but Apple secretly helping the government by putting a Geiger counter in an iPod for a spy, it's next level, that's shady. We're gonna talk about that on this list for sure. Number 5, catfish. I mentioned bird drones in part 2, so obviously I gotta mention robot android catfish. Yep, you didn't believe them, they've arrived. What are we gonna do now, folks? The general public found out about this hidden spectacle in 2020. Catfish robots, specifically one named Charlie. Yes, it has a name. It isn't like the rest of the fish in school, okay? This one's actually an undercover agent working for the CIA, so he's a different fish. This all initially happened back in the 90s when the CIA was trying to collect water samples, obviously in secret, so they would send Charlie Chaplips upstream by using wireless communications. That was their high-tech, that was their James Bond plan, believe it or not. And yes, this was high-tech stuff at the time, all hidden inside the 60cm long catfish. Sometimes spy tech is cool, you know, like a secret iPod, that's neat, we like that. This was not one of them. I don't think Charlie will make an appearance in the next Mission Impossible movie, you know what I mean? I don't think Tom Cruise is gonna send up a robotic fish. Number 4, caller ID. Back to our boy Snowden for this one, of course. He's so good, how can we not talk about him? The king of leaks, besides Sony, obviously. In 2013, it was revealed by The Guardian that, according to the documents that were leaked by Snowden, the Obama administration allowed the NSA to collect different caller information from Verizon. Yeah, this was done through what's called a business records proposition of the Patriot Act that was established under the presidency of one George W. Bush. So, this allowed the government to order Verizon to hand over caller information every single day. Yeah, all those breakups, all those prank calls, give them here. This information included things like the time, location, and the duration of your calls. The information also began being collected under the Bush administration in 2001, and they were collected from AT&T, Verizon, and Bell South. Now, of course, once these documents were leaked to the public and this information was, widely spread, US officials began trying to reassure the public that this surveillance was somehow necessary and was actually a program vital to national security. Yeah, no worries, guys. We have to do it. We're trying to help you, Help us help you by showing us your text messages. But many people, like you're probably thinking right now, thought that the spying was unnecessary and it was an invasion of their privacy. I have to agree. Number 3, more documents. I mentioned earlier those offshore accounts for those higher-ups, those big bad boys. Well, a year later, after that 2016 scandal, even more documents were exposed. All the docs, all around the clock. Docs around the clock. Didn't even script that, that's how good I am. Docs around the clock, we can franchise that. Meaning, even more secrets, even more names. Spill the tea, who is it this time? Well, amongst the 13 million documents, we saw Nike and Apple. Yeah, they're shady, who knew? They had around $250 billion hidden in offshore accounts. On top of that, there were financial connections to the literal Queen of England and Justin Trudeau. Yeah, our Canadian lad. We got mad at him a lot for going to his cottage the last few years. Meanwhile, we forgot he's in some offshore accounts. There you go, some more juice to get mad at him about. Number 2, Project DISHFIRE. This one sounds calming. Project DISHFIRE. Sounds like the best detergent you can get. It was reported by The Guardian that the NSA collects 200 million text messages a day from around the world. Yeah, I'm just exposing all of your secret texts for this one. I was really coming for you. I bet half of these texts literally just say, "You up?" The government's like, damn it, we'll try again tomorrow. They would then use these messages to pull the details of its user. Location, time, contact information, and credit card details. Stuff you don't want out there to anybody, especially people wearing dress shirts. Ugh, the worst. It was also reported that the NSA also provided British intelligence agencies with all of that data, just without the actual context of the text messages, that's comforting. Basically, they have all this data, and at any point they could extract anything they wanted, like older purchases, past travel plans, past financial transactions, all your contacts, regardless of whether or not you're being investigated for anything at all, just because they feel like it. Yes, this sounds illegal, unethical, and quite shady, and it really was. All this happened right before former President Barack Obama gave a speech about proposed policy changes in response to the Snowden leak, so the timing couldn't be more crucial. And finally, number 1, VX gas. The government using gas to take out targets. What is this, Mission Impossible? This is scary. I won't be able to sleep after this. What am I writing? VX gas is tasteless and it's odorless. It can take you out just by skin contact alone. The nerve agent VX is of course extremely illegal as well, obviously. It came from ICIS research from the early 50s when developing new insecticides. And it worked, a little too well I'd say, and it was swiftly and thankfully outlawed. But the bell can't be unrung now, can it be? This was the same nerve gas that was used to take out Kim Jong-nam back in 2017. That was a new revelation we discovered. We're like, oh, it was this gas. That's terrifying. Yeah, he was attacked at an airport. 2 people rubbed a cloth on his face, that's all it took. It was covered in VX and then he died on the way to the hospital. He had a seizure. How scary is that? Initially, officials thought cyanide was used here, but in reality, it was only 10 milligrams of VX. So far, that's the only confirmed case of VX being used to take somebody out. Again, the only one we know so far, so sleep in fear, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Starting off this countdown, we have the Blue Leaks. In June of 2020, following the killing of George Floyd and the protests, Anonymous leaked hundreds of gigabytes of law enforcement files. It has been named the Blue Leaks. Over 269 gigabytes of data were taken from over 200 law enforcement agencies. This included emails, audio recordings, videos, and documents. In total, there were millions of files leaked. Some of the leaked documents show that the FBI was monitoring the social media accounts of protesters, and they were also alerting local law enforcement about anti-police messages. Other documents showed that the FBI was tracking Bitcoin donations to protest groups, as well as highlighted some scandals and police misconduct.
Coming in at number 9 is The Pill. This one is sus as hell and was shared by Redditor Miriam, whose friends served in Desert Storm. They shared that every morning during muster, the troops were all given a pill to take and were told it would protect them from any and all toxins that the Iranians had released into the air. Might want to check the science on that claim, but moving on. The friend thought the whole thing was doubtful, so he never swallowed the pills and neither did some of the others. Fast forward a few years later and he finds out that the people who took the pills now all have various kinds of cancer and other really serious medical issues. The ones that chose not to take the pill are completely fine, so what the hell are in those pills and why were they being used as guinea pigs? What it be? What it do?
Coming in at number 8, we have the Snowden files. Now, of course, these were leaked on a much more secure website than Reddit. Snowden went to the press to get out all the classified info, but the thing is, I've read all about this on Reddit. It was going gangbusters on there, and you can still go back and check it out. For those of you who don't know, Edward Snowden was working with American intelligence and leaked a ton of info about how the NSA was looking at all your emails, sorting all your phone calls, and they could access all of that info at any time. And frankly, they probably still are. I mean, just talk about something around your phone, like this. Look at this. I need to buy ninja equipment for a ninja school. I need ninja stuff because being a ninja is cool. I want to be a ninja. Discount ninja clothes. I'm gonna get ninja ads now.
Filling at number 7 slot are the Montebello Islands. So during the 1950s, the British government ran 3 nuclear bomb tests at the Montebello Islands, located near the coast of Western Australia. Operation Hurricane occurred on October 3rd, 1952, where 25 kilotons of plutonium were dropped. Then came Operation Mosaic, taking place in the middle of 1956, where 15 kilotons were dropped on Tremio Island and 60 kilotons were dropped on Alpha Island. But this really isn't a big deal. Nuclear bomb tests were done so routinely back then, and the islands were uninhabited, so no one was really getting hurt except of course the Aboriginal people that lived there. Their tribes were right on the mainland next to the islands, and they're extra vulnerable to the radioactive fallout, but that wasn't even taken into consideration by the Safety Committee or the Atomic Weapons Research Establishment. There was already huge radioactive fallout all over the mainland. There was even radioactive rain on the coast of Queensland. I just find it funny how the dose levels were ignored when it came to the Aboriginals. Like, oh, we don't care. If they're not white settlers, we just don't care.
At number 6, we have the death of the Challenger pilots. Here's some gruesome details about the Challenger pilots that Cyrax2112 shared on Reddit. He said when the spacecraft exploded, the people on board didn't die right away. Even though the news flying around the world for a long time was as soon as it erupted into a ball of flames, the pilots were killed. Well, that wasn't the case. Apparently, most of the pilots survived the initial explosion and were flying around in the worst terror of their lives as they came crashing down to the planet. On top of this, NASA knew this right from the beginning, but they kept this information a secret. They knew that if they made the crash seem more gruesome than it already was, that it would ruin the space program. And you know what? They were probably right. I mean, the crash was already the worst PR they could have received, and if you pack on news about people suffering before they died, no one would ever want to go to space again.
Coming in at number 5 is Devil Eyes. So back in 2005/2006, the CIA was working on a project dubbed Devil Eyes, and it concerned Osama bin Laden. Their plan was to create a bin Laden action figure and sell it throughout South Asia, but there was a catch. They wanted to make it so when the paint on the figure was heated, it would peel off, revealing this demon-like figure with green eyes, red skin, and black marks underneath. The point was to scare the younger Asian generation and turn public opinion against the real Osama. They're saying it like all the kids in South Asia were like, oh, we love bin Laden. We don't. At all. The project was done with a former Hasbro executive called Donald Levine, who has also been called the father of G.I. Joe toys. In 2014, the CIA admitted the program was real, but that they had cancelled it after only 3 prototypes. But according to Reddit and the Washington Post, and someone who was directly involved, yes, the program was discontinued, but hundreds of figures were still shipped to Karachi, Pakistan. My parents just moved there. Let me see if I can find one of these. I will let you guys know.
Coming in at number 4, we have sterilization. Redditor Ultra Meow wrote on Reddit about government documents that were found which highlighted the sterilization of Native American women without their consent. These were discovered in 1972. Apparently this was a common practice, as the American people were constantly trying to wipe out the Native American population, and to this day have done very little to repair the damage that has been done.
Filling at number 3 slot are the secret archives. So apparently there's this huge secret facility in Britain somewhere that contains all of the British Empire's secret archives. And the British Empire literally colonized and ruined half of the world. Countries that are third world countries today were made that way since during colonization. The Empire literally stripped them of all their value and made them decades behind in terms of progress. Just imagine the horrible secrets this facility must hold. Now, apparently the British committed horrible human rights violations during the Mau Mau uprising in Kenya back in the 50s. The uprising was essentially the local Kenyan tribes versus versus the colonizers and British Army. The secret documents in the facility reveal the extent of torture and death that occurred there, to the point any surviving Mau Mau could get compensation from the crown now if they wanted to. Millions were put in concentration camps, hundreds of thousands were physically and sexually abused, victims were refused medical aid, they were burning people's eardrums with lit cigarettes, like the whole thing was horrible. Sad fact, one of the victims was actually Obama's granddad.
And coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Operation Paperclip. Once again, not a secret that was originally leaked on Reddit, but you can find so much info about it on Reddit, and the first time I read about it was on Reddit, so I thought it would be a good fit. This was one of the wildest government secrets ever. What do you do with the enemy after you defeat them? Do you disband them? Do you kill everyone? Or do you try and take as much of them as possible to try and make your own country stronger? Well, the last option was basically Operation Paperclip. Turns out that after World War II, the Americans wanted to take what they could from the Nazis. Operation Paperclip was when the Americans took somewhere around 1,500 scientists that were working with the Nazis. They had a ton of intel on German weaponry and explosives, and they wanted that data for themselves. I mean, would it have been better to let all that knowledge stay in Germany, or was it better taking them for the benefit of the American people? I don't know, I guess that's a question of morality that'll be floating around for a very long time.
And finally, at number 1 is tracking. So this one's a bit iffy since it wasn't initially leaked on Reddit exclusively, but I found out about it from Reddit exclusively, so I'm gonna make it count, cause I wrote this video and I can do what I want. Okay, so don't worry, Che wrote his part, I'm not taking all the credit. Anyway, back in March of 2019, NBC7 managed to get their hands on a bunch of documents the US government had created. On it was a secret database of journalists, activists, and influencers who were advocating immigration. In some cases, the database put alerts on these people's passports, but what brought these people under the lens is the migrant caravan at the end of 2018. 5,000 immigrants from Central America entered the US, and as the migrant caravan reached San Diego, they were met by attorneys, journalists, and more. Any journalists that helped any of the migrants or covered the story became targets of intense searches and inspection by border officials. Sounds like my life every time I go to the airport and get randomly checked. Okay, so random. Some advocates even get detained for 13 hours, others would be pulled into secondary inspection 4 times. Agents collect information on these people, the data shows their face, their social media, their passport numbers, everything. Homeland Security even said, "We are a criminal investigation agency, we're not an intelligence agency, we can't create dossiers on people and they're creating dossiers. This is an abuse of the Border Search Authority." Wow, I actually agree with them. This is majorly screwed up.